This project is a very large, expansive project covering many decades, all of which and any costume designer, I would imagine, is very interested in. The leads approximately had between 45 and 50 costumes apiece, so that would be 300 for Jack through to Bobby, Ethel, Rose, Joe, and Jackie. And then the background, probably we dressed another 3,000 people. One thing that we're very blessed with on this show is that there's no lack of visual reference. The Kennedys are probably one of the most documented families in the world. Authenticity is important because everyone has a perception of the people involved.
Did you send Cassini the thank you note and flowers?
Yes, ma'am.
Has he received them?
Yes.
Tell Joanna that I moved the armoire to Jack's bedroom. It looks much better there.
Will do.
And I'm painting with Caroline after my fitting.
Part of the Jackie appeal, I think, and why she left such a mark on the world of fashion is that she heralded in a new decade and a new age, really. When Jack was elected president, Jackie was aware that she needed to wear American-made clothing, and so she collaborated with Oleg Cassini, who was already a well-known designer. The gowns were always very streamlined. Often the bodice and the skirt were very similar shape. They would change the colors or add a bow or a simple detail. When you look at the clothes, they seem very, very simple, but the actual construction of such a simple garment has to be perfect. The lines have to be perfect in order for it to fall properly and to look good on the individual. She was also a perfect model for this type of clothing. She had shoulders that carried the garments well. She was slim, she was tall, and very poised and wonderful posture. Katie had certain things that she really was attracted to, and so she's always been very, very receptive and positive with all the things that we've presented her. Everything that we've constructed for her has been made according to documented photographic evidence. The only thing really that I had to design out of my own imagination was her nightwear, because as far as I know, there's no reference to that anywhere. This black suit is our representation of the suit that Jackie wore at her husband's funeral. It is a Cassini. The interesting part about it is these detailed tassel buttons. She also liked to wear a paler lower half with a darker top, which is almost like an inversion of what we do nowadays as a general fashion rule. But the effect on her was stunning. This is the inauguration coat. Jackie stood out in this garment because most of the women wore fur or very heavy-looking dark garments, and she was wearing this beautiful cream cashmere coat and hat with a sable collar. At the time, people often wore their hats right on the top of their head, but her style was to wear it further back. She's known for the pillbox hat, which was her signature, but really, she wore all different types. She wore many styles of domes. She wore Breton hats, which are, have a brim that curls up. This gown here, when I first spoke with Katie, we were talking about the different gowns that Jackie wore, and this was the first one she mentioned. And of course, when I saw a video clip of it, even though it was in black and white, it was obviously a stunning piece. I have a good friend who's a textile designer, trained in Italy, and I showed her the picture and asked her if she thought she might be able to reproduce it through stenciling, and she felt quite confident, and so we gave it a try, and I think we were quite happy with the result.
Dress feel on you.
Oh, it's lovely. They do an amazing job. They really do, and they hand painted this, and it's just, they're wonderful artisans. She always dressed appropriately, and she dressed in ways that made her stand out and look nice and classic. And she went against the poofiness of the 50s, and she really brought a classic, sleek look, which was very European.
Right from the beginning, she made a major fashion statement and stood out from the crowd. She was probably one of those rare people throughout history who really influenced a wide range of people, all of whom wanted to imitate her look. We built many of the suits for Jack, Bobby, and Joe Sr. There's a specific style in the Kennedy family as well, that they wore single cuffs with a cuff link as opposed to a double turn cuff. They all wore tie bars and watches, standard things for men in business. Bobby was, someone described him, I think, at one point as being scruffy but preppy. Sometimes you see pictures of him where his cuffs are hanging down or he's got his tie poked into his shirt to get it out of the way. He was very driven, I believe, and he probably didn't even really pay much attention to his clothes.
Congratulations, Bobby.
Oh, for what, Dad?
The organized crime division. Very smart piece of business.
It was a challenge with Joe to have him traverse the decades, but not nearly so much as it must have been for Tom Wilkinson himself and for Diana Hardcastle, who had to play these characters over a 40-year span. But I think they did it brilliantly. They were both a joy to dress. Diana loves clothes, and she was very responsive to all different styles.
This is the inauguration gown that Lorene has made for me. It's a very fabulous bit of schmutter. And yeah,
much better than the original.
So, should we go and
Yes,
get
let's
this on?
give it a try.
For an actor, the most important thing is to put the clothes on and forget about them. So if you're constantly, pulling and hitching and worrying about whether you look fat or thin or, whatever, you can't really do the job properly, which is to just act.
There's a marriage of the character and the actor, and they do come together somewhere in the middle, and it's always a miraculous transformation.
For every actor, great costumes, great wigs, great makeup play an absolutely significant part, because when you know that you can trust everybody around you and this is what I'm going to look like, that part of your brain switches off and you can relax. And that leaves you the time to do the thing that you're paid to do, the thing that you're meant to be good at, which is concentrate and focus on the scene.
This is the Marilyn Monroe Happy Birthday, Mr. President dress that she appeared in Madison Square Gardens in 1962 for the president's birthday in May. And it was a sensation at the time because it was almost like an invisible kind of dress that was completely covered in sparkling stones.
They call you in, and there's like a couple pieces of silk, and they sew you in. And then the next time you come in, there's an added fabric, and then the next time you come in, there's beads all over the place. And so I believe there are almost over 8,000 crystals on here, which is
The dress is meant to be very fitted. Marylin had to shuffle in it, so yes, we've made it very, very fitted and tight around the knees. It did have a bit of a fluting at the back, so we've reproduced that. And but she'll have to walk small steps in this dress, definitely.
I can't sit. I can't really do much of anything. So for the entire day, I will be leaning on something to sort of catch my balance and hopefully my breath. But all the clothes have been to die for. I really feel like with not just the wardrobe, but with everybody on this set, you're working with the best of the best, like the wardrobe people and the hair and the makeup, and they're transforming all of us. And that's pretty rad.
The main objective in designing the makeups for this, we were trying more to design a look that when the audience is watching this, they'll say, I never noticed how much Katie Holmes looks like Jackie Kennedy, or I never noticed how much Barry looks like Bobby, rather than trying to make them look like identical look-alike.
It's really important to have that mask, because it really allows you to total freedom to explore and create and not feel vulnerable or self-conscious. And these guys are just absolutely legendary, iconoclastic, figures in our history, and so it's easy to get under your skin.
Some of the polls came out that we weren't doing so well. We took Mother.
make sure you tell them about my ideas for improving public schools.
I'm going to tell him you did.
Because it's very important to capture children's imagination.
I know, Mom.
Barry's makeup is a combination of four things. It's a combination of a silicone nose that we apply every day. Christian Tinsley made a beautiful nose for me. He's got dentures as well. Bobby had a very specific look to his teeth. Actually, all the Kennedys did for that matter. And blue contact lenses that we use on him. The fourth element of Barry's makeup is the essence of changing somebody's face with contour and highlighting. In the Katie Holmes makeup, the Jackie makeup, one of the things that really stood out to me when I looked at Jackie's, the photos of Jackie that we had in our research was Jackie had very, very wide set eyes. Katie's got basically the perfect structure to her face. Everything's exactly where it ought to be for a perfect beauty makeup, but that's not really what Jackie was. So I had to try to restructure Katie's face. And then once that was achieved, then the makeup was applied as if that was the structure of her face to begin with. Diana and Tom's makeup were probably the most complicated makeups that we did. Through a series of wigs and bald caps and aging techniques, we took Tom from a fairly early age in the story to into his 80s after Joe Sr. had had his stroke. The challenge of working on a project like this is number one, it's a period project. So we've got to accurately represent the periods as we move through them. We kept the essence of who they really are and tried to sort of infuse the essence of who they're trying to portray. And along with their performances and the great wardrobe that Chris has done and the hair, I think we've come pretty close.